The nights in my town are full of mystery. They always have been. I remember it since I was very small, when I didn't have the age to understand what was happening. The first story I remember clearly happened when I was 6. Every day after school, I walked home with my sister, 3 years older than me. We'd come back with a few boys who lived on the same street nearby, friends from my class, 2 boys from his grade, and a girl in 6th grade. That day, they were talking in whispers, terrified yet fascinated, about the werewolf that had attacked a family the night before. Over the days, we learned from the newspaper that it was a madman, someone mentally unbalanced who had attacked and murdered a woman and her children while the husband was away working. But people told a different story. They said the neighbors woke up to the screams and tried to help. They said the man attacked everyone. 2 women ran for help and encountered a police officer patrolling a few streets over. When the officer arrived, they claimed he killed the man at close range, firing his revolver into his face while the creature was still fighting and attacking people around him. A werewolf, that's what the neighbors said they saw. The injuries took a long time to heal, and the officer even left town. At the time, I believed it all. Innocent, but later, I started doubting the story, and the way people told these kinds of things. Years passed. When I was around 12, I remember the panic that spread through the town. Several children began to disappear from houses at the edges of town. First, a baby, just a few months old. Then a small child of 3 years old. After that, a little boy slightly older than 1, who could barely walk. He disappeared in an instant from the patio of his own house while his mother was washing clothes. During those days, I saw one of the most horrible things I can remember in my life. I was coming home with my father when the commotion of a mob drew our attention. My father dropped the bag of fruit we'd bought, ran, and I ran after him. People were beating a man about 45 years old, with a terrified expression. He was a big man, bald, with a thick mustache, wearing suspenders and a tie over a white shirt that was now completely red with blood. He didn't look dangerous, almost harmless. My father tried to defend him along with other people. He got on top of him, with a woman begging everyone to wait for the police. Someone kicked the woman in the face, and at that moment she collapsed, unconscious. My father threw himself at the man who'd hit him and received a blow to the head with a club. Then they started kicking him on the ground, both the man and now my father too. I ran closer and begged them to stop. I covered him with my body, and they finally stopped. My mother arrived soon after. Together, as best we could, we got him home. When he woke up, he learned that the people of the town had killed him by beating him, and then burned him in the main square. They said they had seen him in a yard, calling to a child to come closer. When the mother accused him and neighbors came out armed with sticks and rocks, the man kept telling them he was a vendor, only trying to call the child to ask where his mother was. My father said the police didn't investigate much. They would probably blame him for the child disappearances even if they weren't sure he was responsible. The case would be closed, and people could finally calm down. But what the police never said was that after that, they kept searching, going deeper into the forest. And nobody told me. I know it firsthand, because they left the cars very close to my house. After that, they had to keep walking to reach the ravines and canyons. Friends of my father said they kept looking for the culprit. They kept looking for the children. Then legends began to circulate among the young. They said it was a witch, the real culprit. Some claimed they'd seen her. Others said you could still catch glimpses of her on certain nights of the month, sniffing around the windows of houses where there were children, running from roof to roof, making supernatural jumps. Later, when I was 16, I went through a phase where I became a pretty troublesome teenager. I loved drinking, smoking, hanging out with friends, skipping school. We spent our time going from party to party. One day, when my friend Julian inherited an old truck, we used it to drive around, even to neighboring towns. In one of those towns, We had an older friend who told us about a really good place to go drink and have fun. It was deep in the forest, far away from everything. It was the remains of a mansion eaten up by time. No pieces of roof, no windows, and vines covering every wall. The three of us, along with two friends, decided to go. Everyone was excited to see the place. Along a narrow path, sometimes cut off, we reached the house about half an hour after leaving town. "Hey," Julian said, pointing in the opposite direction from where we came. About 3 kilometers that way is the house. We were in the middle of the forest, halfway between the town where Julian and I lived and the town where our friends were from. We went into the mansion and started exploring, still cautious, still expecting something. The girls climbed to the second floor without hesitation, while we opened a few beers from the cooler. "There are people here," one of them called from upstairs. We rushed up, terrified that we'd run into someone dangerous. But instead, we found the girls holding a backpack. A gym-style backpack, and it looked fairly new. There was more up there too, clothes scattered around, like someone had been living there. The other girl peeked from a window, as if hiding. Carefully, we leaned around the side and saw lights, several bonfires making a figure among the trees. I remember it like a pentagram, but I can't be sure. What I can say for certain is that dozens of human figures were spread around this shape formed by the bonfires. In the center, someone was directing what looked like a Gregorian chant. I'd be lying if I told you I understood what kind of song it was. Then someone ran down the stairs toward the first floor. When we turned, we saw it wasn't any of us. We panicked. Then we saw a small, almost childlike figure running from the bottom of the mansion straight toward the bonfires. I tried to warn them, but something was said, and when those figures turned toward us, they started running toward the house. We bolted down the stairs, sprinting, and then we ran to the truck. We forgot the beers and everything we'd brought with us. Julian and I got into the back of the truck. In the dark, between the trees, figures came running toward us, wearing what looked like red robes. They surged closer as the truck sped up and we drove away. I felt like my soul returned to my body. I think the shock made the drunkenness fall away, maybe even ended the habit of drinking so often. To this day, I sometimes run into Julian when I visit my parents in town. And we always end up talking about that night, the legends that keep circulating there, the ones that never really stop. Every now and then, someone gets lost in the forest. People still claim they see witches on certain days of the month. Not long ago, 2 children vanished and were never found. Who knows what's true? Who knows how much imagination people have? Who knows what those crazy things we ran into in the forest that night had to do with it? In the capital, nights are calmer despite the noise and the crowds. But in my town, the nights are still full of mystery.